Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and get a £10 free bet the next week. Paddy Power, you beauty! Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shop bets. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Hi there, the weekend is nearly upon us and you are very welcome to the Racing Post Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington and in the company of my Racing Post colleagues Paul Keeley and Graham Rodway, as well as from Paddy Power Frank Hickey, we're going to get stuck into a really interesting weekend. Loads of really good racing, lots of competitive stuff in England and Ireland. We've got 4 races on TV at Warwick, we've got 3 at Kempton, there's 2 really class events at Punchestown. The lads will give us all their best bets from the other meetings at Lingfield, Wetherby and Wolverhampton. Then we'll have a peek at Sunday and we'll also tell you who's won our latest free bet. We will start off though, chaps. I'm just going to throw this one at you. I haven't prepared it at all, but I'm pressing a mythical £10 note into each of your sweaty palms. You've got to have a bet on a horse at Cheltenham that's currently a double-figure price. Who's it going to be? Keels?
Manila Rocco, Gold Cup.
G-Rod?
I was going to say the same horse.
That's all right. You can both bet the same horse. Yeah. Okay. Are you all right?
Yeah, I've got a bit of a cold.
You're a bit Bonnie Tyler, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a bit croaky today.
What a shame. And Frank, who's your one?
Tiger Roll in the cross country.
What price is that?
I think it's 16s out there. I think we might be 10 or 12 or something. Okay,
thank you very much. Right, first though, we will concentrate on the action that is slightly closer to us, and we'll start with the 150 at Warwick. 4 races, like I say, on TV at Warwick. The 150 is the Betfred home of goals galore. Hampton Novices Chase, and Frank, kick us off with a show of betting.
Julep Dawn is 15-8, Miss Parfois 11-4, Big River 7-2, Flintham 5-1, and Western Climate is the outsider of the 5 at 8-1.
Keels, why do you fancy Flintham?
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of Flintham. I want the ground to be as soft as it can be. That's the only thing about him, because he does like it really deep.
We haven't got too much rain forecast have we, this weekend, so we're looking at kind of soft.
Yeah, exactly.
It's dried out
at Kempton, but it seems to still be soft at Warwick. And you know, this horse just needs it deep. He always needs his first run. Now, he was beaten a fair way by Julep Dawn in the end at Exeter on his first start, and he's got to turn that round. I think it was 16 lengths, but he does come on markedly for a run. He was second in the Reynoldstown Chase last year, which is better form. And I think he'll go well. He likes this track. He won on this card 2 years ago. He won the Potemps qualifier off a fairly high mark as well, higher than he is now, I think. I think he's got a big chance around about 5-1.
Could you be interested in each way? Do you like a little each way when there's 5 runners, quarter the 2?
I can have each. I can have each
way.
You've got
40% of the runners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd probably want a bit bigger than 5-1 to be honest. Just getting just over your money back, but. You know, I'm going to back him to win. I think if he gets into a rhythm, he can really jump when he's on form. Then those 5 quick fences down the back at Warwick will suit him down to the ground.
G-Rod, welcome to the new venue. You haven't been in since we moved from Canary Wharf. What do you think?
No.
Do you like it?
Yeah, it's really swanky. Yeah, it's lovely.
Well, let's hope that you go well first time out at the new course. Let's kick off with a winner, G-Rod. Who's going to win the 150 at Warwick?
I'm singing from the same hymn sheet as Keelan. I mean, Flintham just wins, doesn't it? It goes out and makes all. Always needs its first run, like Keeley said. It's the best horse in this race. I'm convinced of it. The rest of them I don't think are that good. Light soft ground, jumps well.
Okay.
I think it's pretty straightforward.
I don't think you should sing with that voice, all right? You're having big enough difficulty speaking. And Frank, is it 3 votes for Flintham?
No, I can see the angle with him. I think he'll get out in front. I think Julep Dawn probably pester him a little bit. I think they might set it up Big River. He's very lightly raced, so he had... What's he had? Maybe 10 runs on the rules in total, and he's won 5 of them into the second 3 times. Of course, he's pulled up the last day at Haylock. That was a particularly warm race in respect to this. Like Clandis Obo won from Vintage Clouds. Of course, Clandis Obo was only narrowly beaten in the Caspian Caviar. Vintage Clouds ran a cracker in the Welsh National. That was a really strong race. Now, in that race, Big River suffered from atrial fibrillation, and he lost 2 shoes, so he had plenty of excuses. I think he's the horse with by far the most potential. I think the way the race is run might actually suit with the Flintham and potentially Julep Dawn, maybe cut each other's throats a little. And of course, it was on this card last year that One for Arthur won the Classic Chase and launched Lucinda Russell and Derek Fox onto everyone's radar. So I think they might win another big race here tomorrow.
Jolly good. The 225 is a very competitive. It's the Potemps Network Handicap Hurdle. People are always a little bit suspicious of Potemps, aren't they? Because it's all about Cheltenham in March, isn't it, with these ones? So it's wide open. 5-1 the field, I believe, Frank.
Yeah, we've joined favourites Prime Venture and Black Ivory. No Hasselhoff 11-2. The Organist 6-1. Sykes, Crispin and Malapai 10-1, and we're 12-1 bar.
G-Rod, you can go first.
No Hasselhoff. Dan Skelton always targets Warwick meetings. He is his most local track, and this is pretty much their biggest meeting of the season, isn't it? I'm convinced he's going to have a really good day there, and No Hasselhoff looks like his best chance. He's lightly raced horse, loads of improvement to come. He went off favourite for a hot handicap last year at Aintree, finished fourth behind Fountains Windfall. It was a decent run. Won next time out, poor race, and then last time out probably got bogged down in the heavy ground at Haydock. He's beaten 20 odd lengths, but he still finished fourth, ran quite well. I think the better ground will suit him. I think he'll run really well. The only thing I've got to put a mention in for Temple Ross, because he's one of my long-term tracker horses. He's been on the Rodway tracker forever, and I keep backing him, thinking, well, he's going to improve so much when he comes up to 3 miles. And then they sent him chasing, and he didn't take the chasing. And then he went over 3 miles last time, that same race that No Hasselhoff ran in, and was pulled up. Maybe he just got bogged down the ground as well. And Twiston Davis, one of the most streakiest trainers around. He's had 2 winners, 2 seconds for his last 6 runners. I wonder if he might be about to hit hot streak again.
How many horses do you have in your tracker, G-Rod?
I've trimmed it down. There's only about 50 odd now. There was well over 150 at its peak.
You had a cold, did you?
Yeah, but I had to have a bit of a midwinter cold, and Temple Ross survived. So I can't be letting him going off at 25-1 in this race without backing him. But I think No Hasselhoff is the most likely winner.
Thank you, G-Rod. Frank, what's your view on this race?
Would you be shocked to find out that Temple Ross is the horse I was going to put up? Again, as Graham alluded to there, Nigel Twiston Davis is in cracking form. He's 7 winners from 31 runners in the past 2 weeks. So an impressive 23% strike rate. This horse on this weekend last year ran second in the Lanzarote hurdle off a mark of 127. He's only off 130, 3 miles. Probably suit. I think the ground was probably to blame the last day. He was quietly supported in the lead up to that run. He's been well backed on numerous occasions. I'm convinced he's better than his mark of 130. Of course, James Gary would claim 3 off him again tomorrow. And again, like this, we're ducking him a little bit at 12-1, but I think there's as big as 20s out there, and I'll be backing him each way.
Righty ho, do you have a tracker, Frank?
I have the odd couple of horses in it if I think they get unlucky in the run, but that's about it.
You're not a tracker fan, Kills, are you?
I'm not a tracker fan. No, I think it makes you lazy. I think I saw that horse last time. Once you got it, yeah, I know, yeah, but I can get even lazier. Like, you know what I mean? So I like to look into a race without any preconceived opinions about something, and then going. I mean, obviously sometimes you'll see when I remember that, and you'll end up coming down on it anyway. But I like to think I'll go in there blind to start with.
Righty ho, who wins?
Oh, well, first thing, I'd like to say, Rod, you sound like shit, and although I've got loads of sympathy for you, if you wouldn't mind breathing in the opposite direction, that would be lovely. I did this sort of race. I always like backing ones that either need to qualify, either need to win to have any chance of getting into the final at Cheltenham, which the top ones don't, or ones that have got no promise whatsoever of getting into Cheltenham, and this could be their day. I quite like the bottom one. I know he's a 10-year-old, Malapai. He looks like he stays forever. He won at 2 miles, 7.5 furlongs at Utoxeter last time. He's a 10-year-old, but he's only won 9 times in his life. He was actually second in a point-to-point to subsequent champion bumper winner Briar Hill in 2012. He's only managed 9 runs since then, but he's won 3 of them. He just looked like he was all about stamina under Sean Bowen last time, and he's just off a very low mark. This race has been won by horses right down the bottom of the weights, so I take a chance, about 10-1.
3 o'clock, the Ballymore Leamington Novices Hurdle, won last year by Willoughby Court, and this year a horse of the aforementioned Twister, Count Meribel, is favourite. Actually, no, we've got joints, haven't we, Frank?
Yeah, we've joint favourites. Count Maribel and Mr. Whip, they're 15-8. Choose Your Weapon, 11-2, Night and Dubai, 9-1. Paisley Park, 10-1, and Cave Top is the outsider, 12-1.
Who wins it, Frankie?
I would be surprised if Mr. Whip doesn't go off clear fav and wins. You couldn't but be him. Like the first day Kempton, he took a lot of Stokey up, and it looked like he was going to get beaten at very short odds. But the second day at Newbury, you couldn't but be impressed by him. He came there on the bridle, given a penalty to the second go at the Flow, who probably should have won first time out at Chepstow when he idled late and got nabbed in the line by Choose Your Weapon, who's in here as well. But Mr. Whip gave him £6 and a good beating the last day. And I think Count Marable, while he's solid, and Twiston Davis is in form, I think this Mr. Whipped is the one with the more potential, and I'd be a little bit disappointed if he doesn't make it 3 from 3 over hurdles tomorrow.
Okay, Gerard, Frank fancies Mr. Whipped. What do you fancy?
I thought it was a horrible little race. Count Marible's best form in the race, but more exposed than anything else. Mr. Whipped could be anything, unbeaten. Henderson, not a betting race for me. Obviously, I'll be keeping my eye on Dan Skelton. As I said already, I think he's going to have a big day. This is the race that he tends to have targeted quite recently. He won it a few years ago with Three Musketeers. He had Born Survivor sent off 6-4 favourite the following year, was beaten. He had Get on the Jaeger run in it last year, and that's another one of his better performers. So he often runs one of his better horses in it. I wouldn't be surprised if Night in Dubai ran well at what's probably going to be a decent price. I mean, he's got absolutely no chance on form because he's shown nothing really in comparison to the ones at the top of the market. But he's unexposed, lightly raced. It could be anything.
Okay. Kills, have you got a strong view on this?
Yeah, reasonably. I mean, if you look at the quotes the trainers make after the races when they've won, they're quite interesting. Mr. Whipped, he's a great big baby. He's all about next year. Choose your weapon. Again, there's another horse. I won't do too much with him this year. You know, these horses, that if they're even slightly backward, and I know they've had a couple of runs, when they go 2.5 miles in a graded race at Warwick when it's soft ground, they end up getting beaten out of sight because they're just not ready for it. And I think Count Marable is the battle-hardened horse and would be unbeaten this season if that race wasn't over 3 miles last time, because he was absolutely bolting up, and then he simply got knackered in the last, after the last, and he was going to win. He was going to win very easily. He went extremely short in running, and I think back at 2 mile 5 furlong, he's going to get the run. He's going to get the run of the race up front, and when he kicks, he didn't find plenty. So I think they'll have to be good to beat him.
Okay. Well, at 3:35, we've got the highlight of the Warwick card. It's the Betfred Classic Handicap Chase. 3 miles, 5 furlongs. As Frank said earlier, it was won last year by one for Arthur, who went on, of course, to win the Grand National. We may well have an Aintree hero lurking in this field. Frank, take us through the latest betting, if you would.
Yeah, Mr. Approach is 11-2, Sir Mangan 6-1, Cresswell Breeze 7-1, Krakatoa King 9-1, Coggery, Emperor's Choice, Ballycross and Indian Castle 10-1, and we're 12-1 bar.
Okay, Keels, bit of a puzzle this one. Can you solve it for us?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I take the Rodders route here and go for the Dan Skelton horse, Sir Mangan. Now, for a 10-year-old, he's pretty lightly raced, and he's mixed hurdles and fences to good effect in his last few starts. At the end of last season, he gave £10 in the beating in a handicap to what's it called, Count Marable, who's now rated 143 over hurdles. Sir Mangan, he then a couple of starts ago, he got beat 3/4 of a length, getting £10 from Beer Goggles over hurdles. Beer Goggles has gone up £20 since then. And last time out, he won at Bangor at Handicap Chase. He was always in control. Beat Acting Pieces. Acting Pieces came out beaten 3/4 of a length by Sir Mangan's stablemate, Get on the Jaeger, in the Grade 3 Royal America at Wetherby last time. And I thought Sir Mangan was just always in control there. He's on a mark of 138. He jumped like a stag at Bangor. That was his first run over fences for about 2 years. He might well have been primed for this, and I think he's at the front of the market, but I think he's got a very definite chance.
G-Rod, are you going to stick with the Skelton beast?
I'm a little bit worried now because this is the one Skelton horse that I didn't fancy that much. So to then see Keeley give it such a great shout. I thought the top 2 in the market were well worth taking.
You've always said you think Keel's a massively overrated judge.
Well, that too. Mr. Approach, well, got to be worth taking on round here. And he jumped well enough to win round Warwick in a race like this? Surely not.
He did get a very generous £6 drop from the handicapper for finishing 6th in the Hennessy, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, but I mean,
I'd be scared of him.
This is a stiff old test of jumping, isn't it? Those fences down the back. I mean, he could be out of it after the first circuit, couldn't he? Ballycross for me for Twiston Davis, as we said earlier, is flying. I think this could be the one where he strikes. Caught the eye staying on quite strongly last time in that race, won by Wild West Wind, I think it's called, by Tom George, trained by Tom George at Chepstow. Made eye-catching headway between about the third last and the last. And I thought, God, this horse definitely wants further. He gets the chance to show it today. The only downside, he pulled up in this race last year behind One for Arthur, but maybe it was a stronger race. Maybe it came a bit too early in his career. Hopefully he'll deal with the hustle and bustle better this time.
OK, Frank, is this one of those ones where I come to you and you make one of those little sighing noises and tell us how strongly you fancy one?
Not particularly, no. I kind of like Krakatoa King, but I wouldn't say I'm massively confident. Kerry Lee, of course, a tremendous record in these type of races. Alfie Spinner ran a cracker in the Welsh National last year, and I'm going to stick with the same combination of Kerry Lee and Richard Patrick. Krakatoa King, he's been with Kerry Lee, moved from Noel Williams December of 2016. He's had 8 runs for Kerry Lee. He's had 2 winners, 3 thirds, or 3 seconds, 2 thirds, and 4th first time out for. Last time was just touched off at Wincanton, off a mark of 125, got £2 VAT. Now this is a step up in grade, but he does stay all day, and he does relish testing conditions, and the £5 claimed off should be valuable enough. Now it's probably not as good a renewal as previous years, and for that reason, I think in a better year he probably wouldn't have a chance, but I think he might be able to take the step up a grade here, and I think about 9-10-1, so it's a fair each way bet, I think. And we're 4 places in the race as well.
Say that again.
We're 4 places in the race as well.
4 places, good news. Okay, we'll do Kempton next.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and get a £10 free bet the next week. Paddy Power, you beauty! Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shop bets. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Okay, 3 races at Kempton on ITV4. The first in the 205 is the 32 Red Casino Chase, and it features some old favourites. Take us through the betting, Frank.
Yeah, Waiting Patiently is 7-4, God's Own 5-2, Smad Place 4-1, Joss's Hill 5-1, and we're 16-1 bar.
Okay, 6 runners, a lot of them very exposed, a lot of them very popular. Who's going to cross the line in front, Graham Rodway?
I thought this race was all about pricing. I hadn't seen the price until Frank just read them out.
They've only been betting all week, Rodders.
Yeah. Good to see you've been burning the midnight oil there in preparation for this broadcast.
At the price, I'll back Waiting Patiently at 7-4. I mean, really? I think this horse has got grade 1 potential. Absolutely so impressive all season. I mean, bolted up at Carlisle, comes here off a 65-day break, but I know Malcolm Jefferson often has these sorts of horses that rack up sequences up north and come down south and get beat. But I think this one might be different. I mean,
what were you expecting the price to be then when Frank...
Well, I thought Waiting Patiently was going to be short. I was thinking 5-4 Waiting Patiently, and I was thinking around 7-2 God's Own, in which case I would have been a God's Own backer because he's got obvious chance at the weights. I mean, he's the best horse in the race, and he's getting weight from virtually everything in the race. Well, everything in the race. But at 5-2, 7-4, I'd much rather back the horse with the potential and Waiting Patiently.
Okay. Waiting Patiently for G-Rod. Kills, you've got...
I just thought you made a better case for God's Own than you made for Waiting Patiently yourself. I mean,
I knew you were going to tip God's Own.
Official ratings are 163 God's Own and 156 Waiting Patiently. Waiting Patiently is given £4. His favourite, I do like Waiting Patiently. He's a lovely horse and he jumps really well. And he won doing handstands at Carlisle last time, although he was probably entitled to be honest. I mean, this is his real big test, and he's coming down south from, and against some decent horses. Joss's Hill loves it round here. He was second in the Tolworth Hurdle when it was here. He's won this race once before, and he absolutely thrashed God's Own that day. There were some good horses here. Smad Place as well. I mean, Smad Place has run some cracking races round here, and obviously looked very good when he won first time out this season. So I think it's tight. I think it's a real stiff question for Waiting Patiently, and I'd want more than 7-4. I'd say God's Own if he's back to anywhere near his best, and he sometimes doesn't run that well early in the season. I would say he's definitely the one to beat.
Frank, it's an interesting old race, isn't it? What's your view of it?
Yeah, Waiting Patiently is one that's been on my radar now for a while. I'd probably take him tomorrow. I think until we get him beaten, I think he's one to follow. I can see the case for God's Own getting the weight. It's just last year he never really hit the heights of the previous year. Like, he didn't win it all last year, and like even when you thought like he might produce it at Aintree or Punchestown, he just was like maybe £5 lower than the year before, and now he's 10. Like, he's probably not going to improve. I think he might just be worth taking on. This Waiting Patiently, like, he's won his 4 races over fences pretty convincingly. Like, he beat Politolog, now admittedly over 2 miles forward, Haydock in the grade 2 last year. Politolog probably didn't see it out, but even on his reappearance at Carlisle, he was very impressive. He beat a horse, Bellamy to Picked On, who was rated 148. I think he gave that £6, beat it 2.5 lengths. Third Bay Wings rated 144. That was another 30 lengths back. And the fourth, I Just Know, won that I don't know, West Yorkshire National or something at Catterick yesterday off a mark of 131. So it wasn't a dog race. It was a pretty decent race, and he won it without coming off the bridle recently. Really, I just think he's a young horse on the up, and he has potential to be anything. And until he gets beaten, I'm going to follow him anyway, and I'm going to back him tomorrow.
Okay, the 240, another real head scratcher for punters. 32 Red Lanzarote handicap hurdle, 5-1 the field. Frank, take it away, and then we'll stick with you for your verdict.
Yeah, River Frost is 5-1. William Henry, Desi the Beef are 6-1. Top of the game, 8-1. Bags Groove and La Patriot 9-1. Red Indian, Corblimey 10-1. Spirit of the Games 12-1, and we're 16-1 bar. I would be pretty keen on the chances of the favourite here, River Frost. I know it's not original, but he's 2 from 2 at Kempton. He only got £3 for his run the Silver Trophy at Chepstow back in October. Now, this race couldn't have worked out much better. The second Sam Spinner won what used to be the fixed bus hurdle at Haylock, the long walk at Ascot. The third Peak to Peak hasn't run. The fourth Holstone won the Relkeel. The sixth Louis Van Pouch won an Aintree handicap. The seventh Old Guard placed in the Greatwood and won a Newbury handicap. The 8 Bags Grove has won 2 handicaps with Aintree and Kempton. The 10th Drumcliff won a beginner's chase. The 11th La Rochelle has won 2 chases. And the 12th Milrow was second owing to Thomas Campbell in a handicap at Chepstow. The race is probably the hottest handicap run all year. And that River Frost was bang in the middle and beating a few lengths. And he's only £3 higher in 5th that day. I think he's got a massive chance. And I think he'd be tough enough to beat. Now, I will give it one mention. I'll have a little saver on one as well at a big price. Nick Williams, I was looking, maybe I'm wrong, but I could only find that he's had 3 runners in this race in the last 10 years, and all 3 have won. And he runs Denty to me here, with Lizzie Kelly claiming 3 off. On the form, you'd say it has plenty to find, but it was only beaten 7 lengths by Maria's Benefit on its debut over hurdles early on in the season. It's won a Taunton maiden hurdle, and in its handicap debut last time at Ludlow, it was just touched off, but really was the moral winner. Now it's up £11. He ran off 114 that day, and it's up to 125, and this is a far better race. But just because of the record of Nick Williams in this, I'll have a few quid saver each way on that. But it's I think River Frost will be very difficult to beat.
Chaps, you're going to have a job to make a more resounding case for a horse in this race than Frank just did, but you can have a go, Kills.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm equally as strong as this. Just after Christmas, all the tipsters at the post were asked to give their opinion on what horse to take out of all the Christmas meetings. And the one I came up with was D's to BF, and I actually wrote it'll be a good thing for the Lanzarote on his way to the Martin Pipe or the Coral Cup. He finished second over Christmas to If the Cap Fits. He was beaten 5 lengths, but that was 2 miles, and he just got badly outpaced as they were coming around the bend. Went from 3rd back to 6th, and then he came right back through. When a jockey got after him. He's not a slow horse. He was actually just about as fast as If the Cap Fits from 2 out to the line. He was just that far behind him in the first place, but he went away from everything else. Everything about his pedigree suggests he wants this trip. He wants to go up. He's lightly raced. The trainer has booked Mitchell Bastian to take £5 off his back.
Always good news, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take the extra one, and that means that River Frost has got to give him £15. And this is a young horse that is almost certain to improve big time for the trip. And I think River Frost would do well to give him £15. I think any of those at the top of the weights would do well to give him that much weight. And I'm a massive fan of him. We've got an unknown quantity who got smashed up earlier in the week called Le Patriote of Richard Newlands. No idea how good that is because it's all French form. But he was one of the outsiders to start with, and he was favourite on Thursday morning. He's drifting out a little bit now, but he's obviously an interesting runner. But for me, it's all about D's WF.
I'm not mad on these horses coming over from France and parachuting straight into a race like this, by the way.
Well, it depends because because the handicapper just takes a guess.
Well,
and
exactly.
They can get it wrong.
But also, British and Irish punters don't have a clue what it all means. I just think it's very difficult. And if that comes and wins, then fair play to Connections. It's great placing. They've obviously done nothing wrong. But
David Pipe's done it a few times, hasn't he? But I don't remember too many other trainers.
Right. Okay. G-Rod. 2 very hard acts to follow there. Frank was very, very sweet on the favourite River Frost, and then Kills with a fantastic comeback. Made a very strong case of D's to Beef. So it's up to you to try and see if you can shake punters away from that forecast.
Well, I do have a confession to make in that I backed D's to Beef for the Supreme Novices Hurdle before he ran at Kempton. I thought that he was one of the most impressive that I'd seen in the early season around the gaff tracks. He was just absolutely bolting up hard on the bridle, and I've just seen Nicky Anderson do this so many times with top class horses before, giving them the really sort of low key prep around Fontwell and places like that. He did it with My Tent or Yours. He ran that at Taunton, Darlan, similar types. And I thought, well, then he runs a good horse in that race at Kempton, where DCWF run. He won that race with Altior before. So I really fancied DCWF at Kempton. And the problem was that he ran like he was in desperate need of further, like Keel says. I mean, he came off the bridle turning from. He got caught behind about 4 or 5 horses, and the winner was gone. And he stayed on really strongly. I mean, he was further behind If the Cap Fits turning for home than he was at the line. He was beating 5 lengths. He was closing on him all the way to the line. It was a massively eye-catching run. And as we said before, Henderson does then tend to step these novices up into handicap company. He might enter yours in the Betfair Hurdle, Darling Betfair Hurdle, and he's doing it here in the Lanzarote with decent
and
BFs.
the winner of that Kempton race, he is just about second favourite, I think, for the Supreme Novices. He's right up there in the betting anyway.
I mean, I'm not sure he'd go for the Coral Cup at Cheltenham Fest. I could see him in the 2.5 mile graded race.
Well, you've done your money on Supreme, because as we all know, Frank, Western Rider wins that, doesn't it? Anyway, are you tipping DCBF?
And obviously Mitchell Baston claimed 5. I mean, I think that is a massive player, DCBF. I think that'll win, but I've just got to give 2 other quick mentions. I can't let a horse that's trained by Ollie Murphy first time out, with the form that Wishful Dreaming used to have at his best, go off at 20 odd to 1. I mean, that Ollie Murphy is just ridiculously good with horses first time up. He can really get them back to their best. Aidan Coleman's interesting booking, puts a tongue strap on that. I'll be back in Wishful Dreaming at a bigger price as well, but DCBF would be my win bet.
Okay, and the other race on the box at Kempton is the 3:15, the 32 red handicap chase, and this might be slightly, well, I say slightly easy. We've got an 11 to 10 favourite in Fountains Windfall, who's fallen on his last 2. Give us the rest of the prices, Frank.
Yeah, Ballyalton then a second favourite at 9 to 2. The Young Master and Ballycan 6 to 1. On Tour 7 to 1, and Morning Reggie is 16 to 1.
Talking of horses that were in my tracker and no longer are on tour, he's had the elbow, so he'll probably win this. Who do you reckon, G-Rod?
I think Fountains Windfall will win easily if he stands up. I mean, he was bounding round Kempton on Boxing Day. He was going so well. I think he would have won that race easily, and that was Grade 1. I mean, this is handicap chase. I know he's a novice. I know he's got to give weight, and he's coming off the back of 2 falls. But I don't think he's a bad jumper. I mean, he was jumping well up until that point. It just depends on whether you want to take a short price, also with a couple of F's by his name. But I wouldn't be backing against him, that's for sure. I think Fountains Windfall win.
Keels?
If he stands up and jumps clean, he's definitely the horse to beat. But if you're not taking on a horse that's fallen twice in a row, then there's something wrong with you. I thought he was, he was under pressure for his first fall at Newbury, but he was not under pressure at all at Kempton. That was just clumsy and stupid. It's possible. It's possible that he might do it again if that's the sort of horse he is. So you know what I mean. He's a free going type, so they tend to attack these fences fast. And they meet them wrong, they come down. So and he's That was a Grade 1, but it was a Grade 1 novice, and I don't think it was a very good one either. So now he's up against seasoned handicappers, most of whom can jump, although you can see a couple of U's in there. I've given up on tour as well. Ballycan has been 4th and 5th in what used to be the old Racing Post chase. The Bet-Bright chase it is now for the last 2 years. I think he likes it round there. I think he ran well enough on his latest start. And obviously Nigel Twiston-Davies in flying form, as we well know. I think he will take the beating if Fountains Windfall doesn't get round. But he might take the beating anyway, getting £12 for him. We've got to remember it's a handicap.
Righto. And Frank, what's your view?
Just as you were talking there, I actually watched the 2 falls of Fountains Windfall, and like the first one at Newbury, he's more crumpled on landing than hit the fence, and the second time he's clipped the top and again come down maybe a couple of strides after. I don't think he's a bad jumper. I think the pace of the race here as well, I looked, most of them are kind of hold-up type horses, and he could get a right freebie out in front. And I think if he does and settles, I think he'll be very hard to peg back. I think he's quite a useful novice, and he'll end up in the festivals in the spring. Like, you have to remember, like at Aintree, he turned a very competitive handicap into procession off a mark of 137, and like that was probably a far stronger race than this. If he jumps, he'll win. Like, if he gets around, he'll win.
Let's turn our attention to Punchestown. There's 2 really good, interesting events there. We've got the Grade 3 at 1 o'clock. It's the Total Event Rental brackets Kildare Novices Chase. I don't think we've got prices yet, Frank, but as you're our resident Irish expert, you can tell us who's going to win it.
Yeah, this is a very interesting race. You've got a couple that plenty of horses will end up at Cheltenham, you'd imagine. Like if Invitation Only, who'll probably be favourite, up against Koshari from Winnie Mullins as well. Maldini is in there. Of course, he's a Pretense winner in 2016. Mossback won his Beginner's Chase at Naas, and the Storyteller was a very impressive winner at Fairyhouse, first time over fences as well. I think Maldini will be out for a spin. I think he'll probably be aimed at either the Kim Muir or the handicap on the first day of the festival. I'd be very much doubt if tomorrow. He's fully tuned for tomorrow. Invitation only fell on his chase debut at Punchestown behind Monaghan, but he was very impressive the next day at Navan, beating any second now, who's a very good yardstick. I think he's probably the one to beat, but potentially what way the prices will be, I might take a chance on the Storyteller. He's very, very decent last year. I know he was being lined up as the handicap good thing for the Martin Pipe last year, but he met with a setback before the festival. He didn't get there. He was very impressive at Fairyhouse's beginner's chase. Sutton Manor and Live, Love, Laugh have both won subsequently, and I think at the prices he might prove value. It's also interesting that Davy Russell rides that when potentially could have rode Maldini or Donnacos, who won a grade 2 at Limerick when Album Photo fell at the last. So I think it's significant that Davy Russell's on him. I think that the Storyteller and Invitation only will fight it out. I just think the Storyteller might be the more value.
Graham, I know you've had a really long look at this race, and that Keel's showing you the runners just now on the phone was just to remind you a few bits and pieces, wasn't it, rather than give you a first look at it. So who do you think will win?
Of course, yeah. No, Willie Mullins, Invitation only, should win this. I think he was quite a useful novice hurdler last season. As Frank's already said, fell first time out, but did nothing wrong last time. I think it'd be his class apart.
Keels?
Yeah, I mean, I think Invitation only will win. The one thing I say, Maldini is rated 143 over fences now. He will probably be a few pounds higher than that in Britain. He was allowed to run off 143 last year in the Kim Muir, but he might not get into it this year if he run, especially if he wins this, he won't run well. So he can't afford to run really, really well, I don't think, and get into the Kim Muir. And I think Invitation only is the one to beat. I was pretty much like the way he beat Any Second Now last time.
OK, the 210 is the race where if you want quality, it's the race to focus on. It's the Sky Bet Moscow Flyer Novices Hurdle. Been won in the past by horses like Min, Duvan and Vautour. And we've got two absolute crackers here from the Gordon Elliott yard. It's Mengley Khan up against Get a Bird. It's the pink of Rich Ritchie against the maroon and white of Gigginstown. And Frank, who have you sided with for favouritism?
Mengley Khan is 11 to 10, Get a Bird 6 to 4, Carter McCoy is 8 to 1, Hardline 20 to 1, and we're 25 to 1 bar. And
just the 8 to 7 runners, so no dirty each way. So do you see this as an absolute match, Frank? And if so, who do you think will win out the big two?
I wouldn't completely rule out Carter McCoy, but I think it probably is a match. Mengley Khan, and another half time, I wasn't a fan going into Leopardstown. The fact you run out, he's just a horse I don't like at all. And I know he's been relatively impressive before that, but I think we've laid quite a bit of Get a Bird in the past couple of days to the Supreme. And of course, this is the race that they really used to launch the likes of Vautour, Duvan and Min, and the same connections have Get a Bird, who, if you remember back to this time, maybe about this time last year, was about 5 to 1 for the champion bumper. He'd been ramped as the next big thing. Obviously met a setback, and we didn't get to see him at the festival. But of course, he made his reappearance at Gorn, won very handy. And of course, the second Impact Factor was only narrowly beaten in a maiden hurdle at Leopardstown at Christmas, and the third Beyond the Law has won his next two by a combined margin of 44 lengths. So the form wasn't too bad, and I'd be willing to chance him to overturn Mengley Khan, who I wouldn't be convinced by whatsoever.
Get a Bird for Frank. Who for you, Kills?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of Mengley Khan either. I mean, I think Sharjah would have won that race, whatever would have happened last night. I really like Sharjah, who is another Rich Ritchie, Willie Mullins horse. Fell at the last, came there swinging last time. I think he would have been in. Probably would have been in this race if he hadn't fallen, because he's waiting for the Deloitte now, get a bit of time to get over it. And I think Get a Bird is a stayer. I can't, they might have seen some money for him for the Supreme, but I cannot see him being a Supreme horse. He's got stamina written all over him. He'll definitely get 3 miles in time, So, and Mengley Khan's just a horse. He had his disappointments for Hugo Palmer. He finished last 3 times in a row for him before he got gelded. So, there's a nutcase in there waiting to get out, and it showed last time. I'll take a chance on Carter McCoy. I mean, we're talking about what price these horses went off for bumpers. Carter McCoy went off at 11 to 2 for the champion bumper last year. He didn't show anything at all, but what he wants is really soft ground, which is what he's going to get. He won very easily on his debut. It's nothing unusual for a Willie Mullins second string to win one of these grade ones, and at 8 to 1, I'll take my chance.
G-Rod?
What is it about Mengley Khan? I mean, I don't like him either. There's just something about him, isn't
gonna
there?
hack
You
up,
look at
isn't
him and you go, I don't know. All of his form's great, isn't it? I mean, he was so impressive when
what don't you like about
won the
him?
Royal Bond, but there's just something about him. You just look at him and you go,
What? The colour of his fur? You don't like his mane? What is it?
like Kill says, I just get the feeling that he's going to go off the rails, that he might, he ran out last time, didn't he?
I mean,
So
there's a clue there, isn't there?
yeah, I just wonder if we might have already seen the best of him. I hope not, but I don't fancy Get a Bird either. I would agree with Kills. I mean, he was running over 2.5 last time, stayed on strongly. I'll take them both on. I don't know what else is in the race, but I'll be learning both.
That was the most miserable assessment of a horse race I've ever heard.
He does feel like shit, doesn't he?
Good grief. Poor old G-Rod, you're flagging, aren't you? Right, before the boys give us their roundups and their naps, just a quick word to say congratulations to Craig from Plymouth, who correctly said that Rasden Marie won the Coral Welsh National. He wins the £25 free bet from Paddy Power. And if you join us on Monday, you've got another chance to win a free bet, courtesy of our sponsors. Right then, it's roundup time. We've got the rest of Warwick, the rest of Kempton, Lingfield, Wetherby and Wolverhampton. We don't want your nap yet, but we do want any other notable beasts. Kills, what do you have?
Yeah, just got two. 1:15 Warwick. Big Jim won this race. It's called the Edward Courage Cup. Won this race 2 years ago, doing Ann Springs. And then won later off a mark of 123 at Ascot. Barely run since, only managed one run last year and one run last time out, which I thought he shaped fairly well. He's probably been primed for another crack at this. I think he'll go well. Might be a fair price as well, given what's up against him. You've got a Dan Skelton horse. Obviously, Rod has been going on about his record there, so I think he'll go well. And then, believe it or not, I've got one on the AW at Lingfield.
Blimey. What's caused that?
What's caused that? It's caused that because it's an old favourite of mine. It's an absolute certainty running off a mark of 96. He's coming back to his best. Boom the Groom in the 125. He dropped down the handicap last year, having run bad race after bad race. But he was rated 107 at this time last year. Got beaten a neck in a listed race by Lancelot de Lac. He's now running off 96 in a handicap. Just got touched off first time out by You Don't Do You last time out. And if he doesn't win this off 96, I give up the game.
What price are you hoping he'll be?
I don't know. I think our initial SP forecast is 3-1, which will be lovely.
That'll do, will it?
Yeah.
An absolute certainty.
Yeah, it'll win. Yeah.
Jolly good. G-Rod.
The problem I have is that the two horses I'm going to put up are both not running. However...
Well, you can't do it then, can you?
However...
It's never straightforward, is it? You either can't find the race, you can't find the horse, and now you've found a new variation. They're not even bloody running.
They would have won had they lined up.
Right, well, we don't need to worry about that.
One of them is entered on Wednesday. It's in a bumper. It's unraced, trained by Tom George, called Seddon. I've heard that really good reports about Seddon. So back him in the bumper at Newbury on Wednesday.
Okay.
Gossip horse.
Yeah, he's gossip horse.
Right, okay, Frank, I'm sure you've got some horses that are definitely going to run in your roundup, haven't you?
Yeah, I have a few. At Lingfield, 2 o'clock. A horse I like, relatively lightly raced, called Surrey Hope for Joseph Tweet. He was beaten on a Newbury bumper, or Newbury maiden as a 2-year-old, but came back and won a Kempton maiden as a 3-year-old, very impressively by 4 lengths. The second whole sway is rated 85, just put in contact. He won at Sandown in a decent handicap as well, with disappointed Newmarket, but bounced back and won at Salisbury off a mark of 87. Now, the second in that race, Kryptos, was a fancy of mine for the Cambridgeshire. I think if I got any report that he's being into the Lincoln, he'd be my long-range fancy for that race, even though it's a long way out. But this Surrey Hope, I think it's very well handicapped, and I saw an interview with Joseph Tweeter with a winner at, I think, maybe Wolverhampton last week, and he mentioned this horse, I'd say, can rate well into the hundreds before this year is out. In Wolverhampton, I'm going to put up 2-1 in the 7:45. Pulsating has won 3 of its last 4 in the past month. The last week at Kempton, it was ridden out the back. The second favourite was out in front, looked like he was getting a Kirby special, and this sided through the pack and picked him up no problem. I think he's like 5 or 6 pounds higher here, but I'd say he can make it 4 wins out of 5 in the past month. In the 7:15, this is a bit more of a speculative punt, but Fields of Vision switched to John Flint, ran credibly the last day at Wolverhampton over his course and distance. I think Daniel Muscat rode it. He's got Ross O'Ryan up claiming 5. He's a very useful claimer. This horse running off 69 here. He won in August at Salisbury off 73, and he's drawn okay in 7. I think this is kind of a winner bust, but I think if you see a little bit of money for him, he'd have a right chance with the claim factored in. And Wetherby, 2:15, Bundoran ran really well at Cheltenham on his comeback. Looked like he probably benefit from the run. He's on the same mark of 139, and I don't think it's as strong a race as that Cheltenham race. I think he'll take a fair bit of beating in the 2:15 at Weatherby.
G-Rod, who was it who trained the first one that Frank was tipping up there?
I think Frank's got it right. He's Joseph Tweet.
Tweet, isn't it? Got to be tweet.
No, it's not.
Cheat.
DJ reckons it's shoot. Shoot.
Is it?
Yeah. Anyway, right, let's get the naps.
This will not be beaten.
G-Rod, given that you're about to peg out, you better go first. Who are we going to go for?
In that race at Kempton, the DBF's 240 at Kempton, the Lanzarote.
These are DBF in the 240 at Kempton for G-Rod. Who for you, Keels?
Yeah, that's exactly the same as mine. Better week.
You're going to go for the same horse. That's absolutely fine. 2 naps for D's DBF. And Frank, who's yours?
Same owner, same trainer, different race. The 345 Kempton, Charming Zen
Top
makes
weight.
his first start for Nicky Henderson. I switched from Dan Skelton. He won his novice hurl at Doncaster in his first start in the UK, very impressively. The second's rate 134. He beat him by 5 lengths. The fourth that day, Master Whitaker ran really well over Christmas behind Hell's Kitchen over fences. It's off 139. The excellent James Bowen claims 5. I think he'll take an awful lot of beating in the 345 at Kempton.
Were you endorsing that, Kills, or heckling it?
No, I wasn't heckling it at all. I thought he was quite interesting. I don't know a massive amount about him, but I did think he was interesting, yeah.
OK, chaps, let's look at Sunday next.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and get a £10 free bet the next week. Paddy Power, you beauty! Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shop bets. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Hi there, it's Bruce Millington, Paul Keeley, Graham Rodway and Paddy Powers, Frank the Tank Hickey. We are looking ahead on the Racing Post Weekend Postcast to Sunday's action, and the 3 meetings that take place on Sunday are Fairy House, Kelso and on the Fibre Sand at Southall. Would you keep Fibre Sand, Kills, or would you change it?
No, I can't stand Southall. I mean, it's just a personal opinion. I know loads of people who love it and make money punting there, but I just don't like watching it. It looks like dirt racing to me. Certainly wouldn't have dirt racing that one trainer suggested as well, because that, the attrition rate for horses.
What would you have?
I don't think it's fair on them.
I
would have Tapper or Polytrack, got no problem with either of them. But
have you got a surface opinion there at Southall, G-Rod?
I think they should keep it.
Yeah, me
Something
too.
different.
Frank, what about you?
I couldn't care less, to be honest with you.
Oh, right, OK, fair enough. That was a lively old debate. I'm glad I did that. 235 Fairy House, the Bar 1 Racing, Dan Moore Memorial, handicap chase, quality and competitiveness. Frank, give us a show of betting.
Yeah, Acapella Bourgeois 11-4, Polydam 9-2, Don't Touch It 6-1, Dr. Phoenix 8-1, Cause of Causes 10-1, Maloney 12-1 along with Townsend, Dicey 16-1, and we're 20-1 bar.
Keels, how much will you be investing on this race?
I might have a few quid on Don't Touch It. I think he's obviously JP McManus top one. Jessica Harrington seems to be back among the winners again. This was a good horse. This was a Grade 1 winner over hurdles. Probably hasn't quite reached the heights it should have done over fences, but did win a competitive race at the Punchestown Festival in the spring. Hasn't been seen for a while, but has run well fresh. And I just think, a mark of 150 is probably still fair enough.
Graham Rodway.
Maloney, I'll be backing. This is a long-term Rodway track horse as well. Travels really well. I think he won this race a couple of years ago. And I just think this might be his race, his track. He doesn't always find as much as you hope he's going to.
Sorry, it's a long-term trapper horse. It's only run once since November 2015.
Yeah, I know, but I had him in my tracker like 3 or 4 years ago.
He survived the cull, all right, did he?
He survived the cold, been waiting for him to come back. Yeah,
Right.
He travels so well, this horse, and he's bound on a decent mark. I like the way he goes through his races. The only problem is that when he did win it, it was quite a small field, and he likes the front row, likes to get his own way. I hope that happens again. I thought 12-1 was a fair price.
Maloney, OK. You're still waiting for that Pendle to run, aren't you? That was in the tracker, wasn't it, as well? Frank, you're the man over there in Ireland. Who do you think is going to win this one?
Oh, this is really tough because Acapella Bourgeois and down at 2 miles and a furlong, it wouldn't be for me, and Polydam as well, dropping and trip. It might just catch them out. This is really difficult. I wouldn't be confident whatsoever, but I would probably chance Don't Touch It off a mark of 150. The one worry would be that there might maybe running him with a view to get him down a few pounds to go back to Punchestown and try and win at the festival again, considering he's won the last 2 Punchestown festivals. But I think at his very best, at this trip, he could be able to beat those two, because I don't think that's the proper trip for Acapella Bourgeois or Polylam. I think they're better over further. I think they could potentially be vulnerable here, but it's not much confidence, to be honest.
Righto, anything else at Fairyhouse or indeed Kelso or Southall for you, Frank?
Kelso, the 110 Clondalk Castle goes up there to run the 2 mile novice hurdle. He was third last time to Contister and the Rasher County. The Rasher County's gone on, won a handicap of 124. The winner looks quite useful. I think she might end up being a player in the Mayor's novice hurdle at the festival. And other than that, I don't have a whole pile for you. Maybe Katachenko on the 215. He really dogged it at Aintree the last day when he really should have won and got caught on the line by, I think, Play the Ace. Brian Hughes is up, who I love. He's a brilliant jockey, and if he's going to win, it surely will be that race at Kelso on Sunday. But that's about it for me.
Righty-ho, Kills, any Sunday fancies for you?
Yeah, that was it. Kelso 215 was one of the 2 I got. Katachenko. I had a good bet on him at Aintree. It was Beachy Chase Day. It was heavy ground, and I thought everything was spot on for him. And he planted himself at the start. I don't know whether he planted himself or the horse in front of him just was reluctant to get going first, but he lost about 10 lengths. And to come there looking as though he's going to win, and then then he did look definitely like he dogged it as well. But he's up £3 for that, but he's still well handicapped on his old form, and he ought to be winning a race like this. And if he doesn't, then you can rule him out of your trackers if you have that sort of thing.
Did you say any swear words as they approached the line?
Almost certainly. Yeah, almost certainly. Yeah, I was with a crowd at Sandown.
Representing the company.
Yeah.
Exemplary fashion.
Yeah, and in a 315, I'm pretty sure that Lockderg Jewel, Donald McCain's horse, will be fairly short in his handicap, going into handicap against some more seasoned horses. I mean, it has been winning really, really well in novice company, but Nicky Richards Bernadelli is shaped quite well on his last 2 starts, dropped rapidly down the handicap as well. I think that will go well as well.
Okay, G-Rod, anything for us on Sunday?
I have no idea what's running because I'm not set on the Wi-Fi, so I can't get it on my phone. However, I will tell you that Clondalk Castle is really well regarded at Tom George's. The same spy that has given me Seddon for the bumper on Wednesday gave me that to win first time up at Stratford last year, and it did the business nicely at 5-1. So let's hope that Seddon does the business.
You know, when the running order gets emailed to us, that's the point at which you know what we're going to be talking about, and you go on that Racing Post website and you see the runners. Yeah?
I only got like so far down.
Oh, okay, mate. Never mind. Well done. You've battled on very well, Gerald. It's lovely to have you back on the Postcast. Hopefully it won't be so long until next time. Keels, weekend plans?
Weekend plans, yeah. Live tips, sir, Mar.
Oh, good, yeah. So what's the address for people to send in?
Any grief to racedaylive@racingpost.com.
Yeah, so go on there and email Keels his thoughts on any of the runners you've got any interest in, and he will give you a tailored response. The Live Tipster's a great service. So grafting away on that, and then on Sunday?
Yeah, day off Sunday. Haven't really got any plans yet.
What's likely to happen?
Alcohol is probably going to come into play at
Cards?
some point. Yeah, and possibly, yes.
Okay, lovely stuff. G-Rod, what about you? I hope you're not working.
No, Saturday, I really want to go to Warwick. I've never been to Warwick, and I really want to go. Whether I will get there or not is questionable because, as you can tell, I'm not in 100% condition, and a lot of the family as well are also a little bit under the weather. So taking them on a cold afternoon at Warwick may not be the best idea.
No chance. Absolutely no
But
chance.
I would love to go.
Oh.
I really want to go.
Next year.
And Sunday I'm live tipstering. So
excellent.
we've got 2 live tipsters for the price of 1 here.
And what about you, Frank?
Which I have the weekend off, which is amazing, and Jill is going to a yoga retreat this evening for the weekend, so I have a free weekend to do what I want, which is great.
And?
I've no real yet, but it'll probably involve plenty of punting tomorrow, and she will take it from there.
There is nothing better, is there? I mean, we all love our families to bits, but when they all go off shopping or whatever, and you're just on your own on a Saturday afternoon on the sofa, punting away.
It's like, what time are you coming back? And you got your fingers crossed behind your back, and then you're like, 7 o'clock would be lovely.
It was like she was going, oh, will you be okay on your own for the weekend? And I was like, Jesus, Tom's put us back in a 10-1 winner. This, like.
Excellent. Well done, chaps. I hope your punting goes well. Thank you very much for listening and watching. Maddie's back on Monday to review the weekend and look ahead to next weekend. And don't forget, we've got our Cheltenham Anti-Post series up and running on Tuesday, Tom, Maddie and the gang will be having a good look at the Gold Cup. So don't forget, if you do enjoy watching the postcasts, please rate, review and subscribe on iTunes.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and get a £10 free bet the next week. Paddy Power, you beauty! Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shop bets. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Read anti-post tips from Pricewise for the Cheltenham Festival when you subscribe to Members Club Ultimate.